I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Village's Environmental Concern Commission, and it is, I'm going to say it's 7:07. And Commissioner Draconis, would you take a roll call, please?
Marion Greco.
Here.
Joseph Amore.
Here.
Bob Wagner.
Here.
Margaret Schaefer.
Here.
Sandy Hill. Absent. And Justin Schwensky.
And Justin is an excused absence. He has business today in Western Michigan, so he said he was not going to be able to make it.
And with me being here, Ellen Draconis, we have a quorum.
You have a quorum. Wonderful. Okay. And I think we've had consecutive meetings with a quorum for probably the last 2 or 3 years, I think. So, okay. I'm going to move on to public comment on agenda items, and since we don't have any members of the public, we're going to skip over that. Amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. I'm going to move on to item 4. Approval of minutes for our meeting held on July 28th, 2022.
I will make the motion that we approve the minutes of July 28th, 2022.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Amore. And Commissioner Hill has arrived.
And almost that.
And you know we're being recorded. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, seeing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes for July 28th, 2022, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, meeting minutes are approved. Okay, we're going to move on to our business portion of the agenda. Item 5A, a report of the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee. And just to preface your report, we have a subcommittee made up of Commissioner Amore, Commissioner Greco, and myself, and we are the subcommittee of the Environmental Concerns Commission. So, Commissioner Amore, if you would provide us with the report, please.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Wagner. We met here this evening at 6 p.m. Discussed a number of items to bring to the attention of residents. October 1st is Brewfest from 2 to 5:30 p.m. It's traditionally held at, is it Cortese Park? The one that's by
Cortese Park,
Cortese
yes.
Park. We'll be hosting a bike valet. So for people who bring their bikes in, they'll have a staffed booth where we can give them claim checks and keep an eye on their bicycles for them while they partake of the proceedings. We also we participated in the National Night Out as on August 2nd and the North School Safety Event on August 15th, and also the Ride with D45 event on August 13th. We bring our committees to these events that increase public awareness of the transportation options, promoting bicycling as a main. It's even though we're bike, pedestrian, and transit, bike is our first priority. It's in the lead in our name, and we try to promote that as for exercise, the economy, and finding a safe way to get around. The Maple Avenue improvement project is moving along. They're putting blacktop down now, so that should be wrapping up soon. The final leg of the project, once the weather cools, is they'll be putting sod down in the parkways. But there's still a lot of discussion with the neighbors on Maple Street between Summit and Illinois, who did not get what we consider upgrade and complying with our complete streets policy. The new design did not include sidewalks or traditional curb and gutter, and so the neighbors in that stretch of Maple are still upset. They've been coming to Traffic and Safety Commission meetings, they've been coming to village board meetings, and coffee with the board. So they're letting their feelings be known that they're not happy. We are in concert with them that we would have preferred that they go with the complete streets policy and follow the guidelines filling in sidewalk gaps that were laid out in the 2018 bike master plan. That's all I have. Is there anybody else that might have forgotten something?
Jack, yes, and interestingly enough that I remember this as you finish that, there are two organizations that offer different designations to cities. One of them is the Walk Friendly Community, and it has a deadline of December 15th. So we're going to apply to become a Walk Friendly Community.
And in order to become that, we have to meet certain guidelines that are laid out in the application. So if the guidelines aren't met, we can try to encourage the village manager to put staff on the issue to allow us to have the criteria.
Correct. And there are also levels too, so we can increase the prestige and the walkability of the town through meeting the goals of the application.
Great, thank you for that report. And I just want to add to the commission, I won't be presenting it at this meeting. It'll be likely the September meeting. The Ride Illinois is holding its annual bike summit in Champaign, and probably in September we'll be presenting a request for, I don't know how many folks would like to go to the bike summit. I know that I would, but it's not on the agenda tonight, but it'll be on the agenda in September. So thanks for that report.
A quick question, what organization does the walk?
It's
Thank you.
It's through the University of North Carolina.
Okay.
It's a highway safety.
I can look it up.
I can't remember the whole name, but it's a organization that's headquartered in the University of North Carolina. It has to do with highway safety, and they staff the walkfriendly.org organization.
Great, thank you.
I
Yeah.
thought there was a simpler answer, but I mean, there's walkfriendly.org.
Right. Yeah, they're headquartered. I know they're headquartered in the University.
Okay, all right. Yes, walkfriendly.org.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move on to item 5B on our agenda, which is an update on the community solar opt-in program, a meeting with the manager. And I just want to preface this one item. This whole process started with a group of residents who came to the commission and were interested in seeing if we could develop a green option, a green energy option with regards to our electrical aggregation program. We've had a speaker here from, I believe twice, from the Northern Illinois Municipal Electrical Collaborative, Adam Hoover and his son. Right now, it's just not advantageous for us to change the way our electrical aggregation is done. But their suggestion was to go to a more simple solar opt-in program, community solar, and that's where if the community gives the green light, the village board or the village manager, then they will send out postcard solicitation on behalf of the village to see if folks want to opt in. And it's more or less like having a subscription to they're creating these large solar arrays, and that's pretty much if you subscribe to it, you'll get a discount on your energy bill. So there was a deadline through the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, and I did meet with Manager Harline on August 9th. Our meeting was initially supposed to be for a half an hour. It ended being an hour and 10 minutes. And I presented to him the solar opt-in program. In advance of the meeting, I sent him a link, and his concern was, well, we have to pull the trigger on this by August 31st. That doesn't give us a lot of time. So I went back to the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and to Adam Hoover at NIMEC, and that deadline is kind of a arbitrary deadline. There is no real deadline.
So they're hoping to get people on board.
Right. So Manager Harline had a very positive response to my little brief presentation. He indicated that he would put it on a future board agenda. And I will just tell you that he had a very interesting take on community solar versus people who put solar panels on their houses. Without getting into too much, he said it's a great idea. You put solar panels on your house, but it does create a problem more with the utility, with ComEd, etc., where a community solar opt-in program is kind of a cleaner way to help support, solar energy. And he did describe when he was assistant city manager in Dover, Delaware, he negotiated a contract for this very same thing. So, very positive conversation. I mentioned that I do have a follow-up meeting with him next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday. But I look forward to this appearing on a future village board agenda. So, okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for meeting with them.
Yeah, no. And I didn't clearly look over Ellen's notes, and I was supposed to also talk to the manager. The minutes say to talk to the village board and the manager about Monarch Way Stations, Pollinator Gardens. I didn't talk with him about that because I missed that part, but I'm going to talk with him about it next week. So. Okay, any questions on item 5B? So, as I learn more about when this may appear on an agenda, I'll let the commission know. Okay, I'm going to move on to item 5C, update on promoting Pollinator Gardens and Monarch Way Stations. So I sent out some last minute emails, and I apologize. I thought I had sent out the one from the DuPage Monarch project before, but maybe I didn't. You may know that they're doing what they call a bio Blitz, which goes from August 22nd to August 28th. There's an app where you can see if there's, if you see monarchs, or I don't know all the details about it, but I did happen to go to the Naperville website, and they have a bio Blitz, but theirs is in the beginning of September. So I think the bio Blitz coincides with the monarch migration. And then I forwarded the email that she sent about the program that will be at the library on Monday. Yeah, on Monday, and I would encourage everybody to attend because Lonnie Morris is really great. And she would like our input about promoting Monarch Way Stations, Pollinator Gardens, etc. So, I did also attend and I've attended this program before, Jim Kleinwachter from the Conservation Foundation did a presentation on conservation at home. And I said, do you know how many conservation at home designations do we have? How many residents have these placards? And he said, well, send me an email and I'll let you know. Well, I sent him an email and a follow-up email. I haven't learned about it yet. So I'm hoping he'll respond. Kind of in this same vein, I did go to the Community Focus on Uniting Neighbors Commission. I believe it was Tuesday. And I had gone to a prior meeting and I asked them, I said, you're doing your landscape awards. Can you give one a designation for Pollinator Garden or Monarch Way Station? And the commission chair, Leslie Allison CI, said yes they would. So I attended the meeting on Tuesday, and she said, we heard you. We're going to award this designate. We're going to give a landscape award to this resident at 509 South Harvard. And I said, wait a minute, 509 South Harvard. I nominated them for a landscape award about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was correct. So she said they were going to rescind that award because they've already gotten an award. So I don't know, but there probably are other. I know there are other residents who kind of fit that criteria. So nice to know they were thinking about it, but they picked a home that's already been received a landscape award. So
are they going to re-choose, or?
I don't know. I didn't ask that question.
When do they do the landscape awards?
They're kind of doing them. I don't know if they have an official times. And I asked what's the criteria, and Commissioner Allison CI said, well, it's kind of an internal thing within the commission. They kind of, they drive around and they see some, home that stands out, they nominate it. So it's not like our Green Champion Award where you can go online and nominate somebody. It's kind of an ad hoc thing. So they go around and they choose.
Yeah, the problem with that is that, especially with a pollinator garden, it could be in the back of someone's property.
Exactly, right, yeah, that's a good point.
Where it's not about aesthetics, it's about the value, environmental value, and they won't find those.
This also, it's, honestly, in our backyard, which I've shared before, I've had 20-some larvae, and I have, this year, 0. And I have 2 good friends who do the same thing, and they have had none in this area, Lombard and Gold Park. I did go walk by the gardens in the Great Western Trail, and they look wonderful. There are some milkweed plants there. I didn't see any butterflies at that point, but I let Greg know that they look really, really good. He said he would pass on that. Somebody is taking really good care of it, at least right now.
Yeah.
Maybe this week. But I'm wondering about this. It's very, very, very unusual to not have monarchs in my backyard. Very unusual. And for the other 2 friends, same thing. So they might have trouble finding.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple this summer, so it's kind of just like birds. It's not, you don't see as many birds as you used to.
Right.
I don't know if it's the weather or something else is going on.
Yeah.
So this award, this plaque or whatever is on hold right now. We don't know what's going on with it. Whether there's going to be a plaque for the Pollinator Gardens, or we don't know.
You know, I would like to see us kind of take that. I mean,
I
I don't
was
know
gonna
why we
say,
can't
maybe
just say,
we need to think
let's
about
go
that for
to,
next
let's
year.
go to the organization that certifies it and just have a plaque put there.
Right.
So I did go to I went to the Lombard Park District website, and I went to the Elmhurst Park District website. The Lombard Garden Club provided $450 to the Park District, and they have a demonstration garden, and so does an Elmhurst Park District has a pollinator garden demonstration garden. So I think we should just say, let's apply for whatever, Monarch Way Station or Pollinator Garden plaque, because there's nothing there right now. I think that would be appropriate for us to do.
You're talking about the Great Western Trail.
On the Great Western Trail, right.
How does a private citizen get in to apply for recognition?
Well, there's websites.
Yeah.
You have to go to the website, and then you have to fill out an application.
Oh, I see.
It's just like conservation at home.
Right.
They come out and look at your property. I don't know about Monarch Way Stations, but I think that'll be part of my conversation with the manager, since that's what the motion was on the part of and just for the general public. I had an excused absence last month, so that's why I was not there.
What's the BioBlitz? Can you explain that?
The BioBlitz is basically, there's an app that you can download to your phone, and you're looking for, you're tracking butterflies or larvae. I didn't read through it completely, but that's essentially what it is.
Strictly for monarchs.
Yes, yeah,
So it's
right,
crowdsourcing data.
Right.
Yeah.
right. And I'm sure that Lonnie Morris can tell us more about it on Monday when she talks at the library.
What time does that start?
6:30.
Oh. I thought maybe I could come a little late. I have something from 6:30, so.
And I just want to offer a couple additional tidbits of information that Jim Kleinwalker from the Conservation Foundation passed along. He talked about a program in Naperville called Parkway Pollinators, where people convert their, and I said, I've seen some residents who do that already. Probably unauthorized, but they're doing it. So, an interesting thing. And then something that Margaret had brought up, more about gas-powered leaf blowers, and the city of Naperville offers a rebate to people. I don't know what the rebate is, but if you buy an electric lawnmower or hedge trimmer, they offer a rebate, which I think is interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a way to address the pollution problem from lawnmowers and
And the noise.
and the noise. Exactly.
Snow blowers too, I would think.
I don't know about snow blowers, but so any further discussion on this item?
Well, bringing up this Naperville thing, is that something that we want to look into for Villa Park?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Do we want to look into the rebate program for Villa Park?
I think it's an interesting thing. Yeah, I think we should do some more research on it. We were talking about the No Mow May,
Right.
and we didn't want to jump into that until we heard what other communities, how that went. And No Mow May, just to refresh our memories, it's a program where I think you don't mow
You don't know your,
until Mother's Day,
yes.
because that's the critical time for pollinators when they're trying to feed, and there's not a lot of this. So they feed on dandelions, etc. And if you don't mow, it has a chance to flourish. So I I think we should also kind of revisit that issue maybe in September or October, see what the other communities, I think Darien was one of them, I can't remember what other communities adopted that, but that might be something we want to revisit.
Yeah, I'll see what I can find out about that.
Okay. So I would encourage, I'm going to go, I signed up to go on Monday, so I would encourage other folks to go as well.
I got the impression from the email that you sent around that they were looking to us for ways for
Yes.
people to volunteer.
Yes, she was
So-
looking for input from us, yeah, and I apologize that, yeah.
And, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, we don't have anything in place right now, but again, this would be something to think about for next year, something that we would do that would, whether it's planting more milkweed, putting in another garden, I don't know, something that people could volunteer to take part in.
Yeah, then there's a recognition application.
I wonder if, at the library meeting, if, you know, somebody from the committee here, I'm sorry, I have a previous obligation, would say that, you know, this is something we're open to, working together with people in the community. So if there's anybody here that is interested in volunteering in doing a village project, and then, if you had 2 or 3 volunteers, then, you know, we could brainstorm all together something for next spring or something.
So I just want to back up a little bit about the Bio Blitz. It's August 20th to the 28th. Hands-on nature experience for staff, families, and kids. Encourage everyone to look for and record monarchs while they're migrating in late August. So if you download the app, I didn't download it yet, but I mean, it might be worthwhile for us to go to the Pollinator Garden to see if we could find any monarchs, you know.
The Museum of Science and Industry also has a monarch program that they collect data from anybody in the Chicagoland area. So those might be, again, things that we could promote looking at next year.
You know, at the last meeting, we discussed going to the village, to the Public Works Director, and asking them to review their current for pollinator way stations and look for opportunities to expand that. If they could see where they might be able to add in.
Right.
But
we've
it was
had
only brought up, you know, as a matter of discussion. There was no action, you know, voted on.
Yeah, and we've had conversations, I know Ellen had a conversation with Director Gola, specifically about, was it Westmore Park? The large open area in Westmore Park?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's ample areas where we could maybe have a demonstration garden. And I think I mentioned this before, the village was successful in their OSLAD grant for Lufkin Park. And part of the plans there are for some sort of nature walk. So Monarch Way Station or Pollinator Gardens there would be appropriate as well.
His response to that was that we can put them in, but who's gonna take care of them? And that was his concern. You know, we can't keep adding staff to take care of gardens that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we also want to make sure they're not coming in and putting some type of chemical out there that's gonna, you know, kill off what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's another thing.
That's for the volunteers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. As
So
long
even
as
if
you
we
can
don't
sustain
have
them.
anything
Yeah,
at
yeah, that's
present
the hard part.
for them to volunteer for, I think we could present it as there are possibilities in the future, and if you're interested, then that in itself, having a group of volunteers that would be interested in maintaining some pollinator gardens might affect them being put in.
Right. There's a lot of things we could be doing that, yeah, so.
I don't understand we just put one in our backyard a year ago. I don't know what maintenance they think it might require. I haven't had to.
Weeding,
Weeding, yeah.
It's weeding, that's what you said.
yeah.
And well, one year the commission went and weeded the garden, and sometimes you just have to ask people to say, you take that on.
Well, if we had that bigger group of volunteers for our commission, if we could keep establishing that, then we can ask people. They don't have to go every month, they don't have to go every week, but if you're interested in helping with this, then once during the summer you can,
Right.
and one of us can join you, or you can bring your friend or whatever. You know, interesting, are those culverts still up on Maple?
They've reduced the depth and the incline on some of them, but they're still, I think it's still inappropriate for that street.
Well,
It resembles a rural area.
So Monterey in Villa Park, south side, the block from Washington to Madison has it the whole way.
Uh-huh.
And people use that. There are wild, like a garden, a wild garden in there.
Yeah, some of
I
that
don't know
was
if
planted
it's
by the
like-
village.
There what?
Some of it was planted by the village,
Oh, was it?
yes.
So you must have to agree, am I gonna cut it, or is it gonna grow
Yeah.
garden?
Yeah, that happened under former Public Works Director Vitas Giskelis. That was okay, any further discussion on item 5C? Okay, seeing none, I'm gonna move on to item 5D. Update on Kuwasakoski Recycling Tour. And I've kept this item on the agenda for several months, and I did follow up with Kuwasakoski, and there are some new folks there, new public affairs person, whatever, and I reached out to them and I sent them, I said, let us know when we could take a tour. I think it would be, I really believe that it would be beneficial for us to go. So as soon as I get feedback from them, I'll be sending something out. So I apologize. I know this has been on the agenda for several months, but I hope to, to put together a tour of that facility. And that's in Plainfield. And I realize that some folks who are still working may not be able to attend, but so we'll try and find a time that's mutually acceptable to as many people as possible. I'm going to move on to item 5E, communication and education. So first of all, I was remiss in not thanking everybody, thanking Ellen and Carl, thanking Joe, thanking Sandy for you were at National Night Out, weren't you? And we were also at Summerfest. So we were the only commission, I think we can be proud of the fact that we were out there in the public reaching out to folks with regards, to what we're doing, as we're an advisory commission for the village board on environmental issues. So I think we can be proud of that. I did reach out to Assistant Village Manager Suzanne McVeigh, and I copied Donnie Pisano, who's the Public Information Officer, and I asked two questions. I said, when are the deadlines for Village Matters? She said that Donnie's going to be publishing those soon. And then I also asked her about social media. If some commissions have a have a Facebook page. So there is a social media policy on the villages. If you go to the document center, and it tells about all the things, the do's and don'ts of social media. And it can be kind of fraught with problems. And I'm just going to quickly, like I said, we're thinking about it. There are other commissions that do it. And I'll just read her response. In regards to the social media for the Environmental Concerns Commission, I have shared your request with the village manager. While the village social media policy is one aspect of consideration regarding social media content, there are also Freedom of Information Act, Open Meeting Act, record retention, legal requirements, liability and ethics consideration that anyone representing the village needs to be trained on. It should also be considered by the commission that Facebook routinely changes the algorithm on how posts are seen and pushed to the public. Starting a new Facebook page can be challenging to gain followers to make it a useful form of communication. She cites one commission that has a Facebook page. There's only 68 followers. But she mentioned that the village, their Facebook page has 5,800 followers. The police department has 7,300 followers. So her comment is it may be more useful for the commission to generate content for the village to post through an already established channel, possibly once or twice a month, versus managing the liability of a full Facebook page. So my response to her was, you've made some great arguments. Myself personally, I don't think it's worthwhile for us to have a Facebook page.
No, I think.
Yeah, I think it just
Having
creates
that-
more problems than necessary. And if we can give content to Donnie and Susan,
Twice a month, that's a lot.
yeah, even
It
twice,
is.
even if it's once a month, I think that's more beneficial. I don't think we need to have a Facebook page.
And that's who we would funnel it to, Donnie and Susan, or one, or?
Yeah,
which
Donnie,
one
yeah, so
handles?
they'll evaluate it, and then, so if it's okay with the commission, I may just tell her, we think going through the village is a better alternative.
Sure.
Is that the consensus of the commission?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you do that? How do you, we would just send the information and they would put it on the Facebook?
Right, they're gonna evaluate it to make sure that it, that
Right,
the
yeah.
content is okay,
However, we write it up though, and then it's okayed by them.
Right, and then there's a monthly, I don't know how often the email goes out, but we can also supply information to them as well. I mean, so we've got Pumpkin Smash coming up. There's other things that we might wanna publicize. So,
That's a great way to say, have you heard that the monarchs are now,
Right.
on the endangered species list, and we're looking to see what we can do as a village. Would you like to volunteer? I mean, that's another great way to get some
Right.
volunteers.
okay.
Because it's been all over the media
Yeah, it
about
is.
the monarchs.
Yeah,
And people
people are aware.
would appreciate being informed of how they can help. Because most of the things you can do are not a big deal. I mean, basically it's just planting a milkweed in the right locations.
And I've seen people with very small monarch stations. I mean, very, modest. You don't have to invest a lot of time.
It's nice to have the flowers around too, because
Exactly,
they'll
yeah.
go from one to the other.
Right.
I'm gonna make a motion that we put social media on the monthly meeting agenda. We put it together.
For an
I'm
item.
just gonna move that we add social media to our monthly meeting agendas, so it gets done.
I
You know?
second that.
Yeah.
I think
You
that's a great
basically want to
reason.
create a line item for social media input.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yes. Right,
so let me
every
make sure I
month we
understand your
address it.
motion. Your motion is to put on the agenda, since I'm gonna be preparing the agenda, an agenda item that deals with our social media posts through
Yes.
the village.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, kind of a summary of what we've
Call it education.
posted or
Yeah,
communicated.
discussion
A
for,
recurring agenda item?
yeah,
Yes.
a recurring agenda
So that
item.
it gets addressed once a month.
Or we could discuss
Yeah, and maybe even more
Opportunities
ideas.
to get our message out.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
maybe on the same vein, since we discussed this earlier, is to have a place for the bike and pedestrian to post.
Sure, of course, of course.
Yeah, I'll leave it on our agenda.
Okay, so there's a motion, there's been a second. Is there any further discussion as having this a recurring item on the agenda? Okay, okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Just lastly, if there is an opportunity, a public event put together by Parks and Recreation at Iowa Community Center, I'm not sure if it's kind of like, it's kind of around Halloween. I know different organizations have a presence there. Yes, yeah, I know library's been there. So that occurs, it occurs right before October, before Halloween.
I'll find, I think I can find the date. But yeah, the commission could have a booth there probably.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm sorry. What was that?
so, we're discussing, Halloween happenings at Iowa Community Center. If the commission wants to have a presence at Halloween happenings. Was
Well,
that?
that'd be a good place to publicize the pumpkins, man.
Yeah. I mean, the parking lot, just before Halloween, yeah.
I'll tell you later.
Okay,
Now, I have this is may or may not be related to communication and education, but we see an ongoing problem with village-sponsored events where there's not recycling containers put out. And that is, to me, is an educational opportunity that's being missed. The easiest thing, you know, I discussed this with a couple of different people in the village, and they want to make the argument that it's too much trouble to have what basically ends up becoming another garbage can, because it doesn't get, you know, people aren't sorting, they're just throwing stuff in there. And the easiest solution to me, as a layman, would say, you put your can for recycling here, and then you put garbage cans on either side. So if you have to walk past the garbage can, you're not going to throw it into the recycling container if you got a garbage can from either side. People who want to recycle will make the effort to take whatever is recyclable and have a list of what should go in there and what should.
Well, you can get the recycling bins that have, so mainly what we're probably looking at is plastic bottles. And glass would,
Yeah.
if they're, or
so we have to put some thought
but if
into it.
we,
Okay.
if we had those kind of containers,
It could be fun.
garbage isn't gonna go in there the way
Yes.
they feel that there's a complication because garbage is put in the recycling container, but if you have those specified containers
Right.
that have that opening,
Right, that are blue, they have a lid with just,
Right.
with a
Right.
right opening.
right, and they cannot, it cannot be, I mean,
It doesn't seem like an overwhelming obstacle.
no.
Yeah. Now, when we were at the D45 event,
Mhm.
the ride with D45, they went out and purchased through a private vendor cardboard boxes that were trash can and recycling and placed them next to each other, which was a good idea until a big gust of wind came and blew the whole things down, you know, 20 feet from where they set them, So there's gotta be a better it has to be something that's more sturdy. And if the village is coming out to these events like National Night Out and bringing extra garbage cans and setting them up, we should have some kind of program where they also include recycling cans and have them designated for only certain items, and everything else can go into trash.
I guess it would be interesting to know, does the village own things that can be, containers that are well marked, that say recycling and have a lid that prevents the
They
garbage?
do.
We do have totes, the roll-around totes,
Oh.
provided by Roy Strong.
Yeah.
I know it because I've seen them at events,
Yeah.
but it's very sporadic. There's no plan to,
So do you think they have to pay extra for those?
LRS, now LRS, I'm sure they provide them. I don't know, it's probably part of our contract.
Well, I wonder who we can discuss this with. Would this be something that you could bring up with the village manager? Or do
Absolutely, yeah,
we-
absolutely, yeah. Cause this comes up all the time.
Yeah.
It comes up
Yeah, in
all
fact,
the time.
at the Summerfest, people were coming up to the ECC booth and saying, where can I throw this?
Asking us.
And so we were basically collecting recycling material to take home.
Right.
Yeah,
And then the night out, we went and emptied, we filled up our own containers and brought it home.
Yeah.
exactly.
And we do have a budget. If the village can't afford to buy their own, do we need to buy them for them?
The village can afford it.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
One more question, can we get the deadlines, the dates?
So her response is that he would be sending me the deadlines.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so deadlines for next year.
Uh,
So I think we may be creeping up on the fall, winter, or this quarterly, so we're probably getting close to the winter deadline.
It looks like Halloween Happenings is, if I got it right, October 21st.
October 21st.
Right, and then we have to register for a booth.
Okay.
What, is that a Saturday?
I'm looking on my calendar and I'm not getting to it, but anyway, yeah, I think it's a Friday night or a Saturday night.
So if there's a consensus, I'll go ahead and make arrangements to
Friday night.
arrange. And I think there has to be some, Sandy pointed out that you have to have some sort of theme. So
I was thinking bats.
that's,
Bats is a good thing.
Yep.
Bats are,
The theme
Oh,
for
because
the
they eat
booth?
mosquitoes?
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bats are your
And
friends.
that segues right into item F.
A theme for the booth, a booth?
A booth at the Halloween
When I find
happenings.
Okay.
the rec department PDF again, I'll.
Do we need to make a motion that we're gonna participate, or no? No.
well, it's
Might need
a
a little more
$15,
info. $15.
yeah, I guess I'll entertain a motion to,
Not to exceed
for the fee to be present at the Halloween happenings.
I so move. I
Second.
move that we pay the
Second by
$15.
Commissioner Moore.
Okay.
Is there any discussion?
No. did you-
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
There's another event that Parks and Rec is doing, but I don't know when it is, I can't, mobile phone sometimes, but they're doing like a scarecrow kind of contest kind of thing.
Ooh.
So we could do something, with the scarecrow and use recycled, materials to decorate the scarecrow. Anyway, it's a possibility. Something to explore. When I find it again, I'll send it out to everybody.
okay.
That could be educational as well, right?
Anything further on communication and education? I'm gonna move on.
I would say, so everybody should be thinking about what we could highlight in what months as far as, what we're communicating and education or whatever.
So, yeah,
Do
so-
we have that list already?
So Halloween happenings would be a good time to promote Pumpkin Smash as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have said that.
Is that gonna be on the September agenda? Set that up?
September, Pumpkin Smash is usually, it's the Saturday after Halloween.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, are we gonna discuss it on that's in the September meeting?
We usually get communication from Scarce about that,
Uh-huh.
to say, are you participating this year? There's a form you have to fill out. We communicate with now LRS to say we need a dumpster. So I think I'd prefer to wait for the communication from Scarce, because they're the lead organization.
Yeah.
of that.
No, the reason I brought it up is I think we need to lay in a better plan so people don't get hit. You know,
Maybe we need a safety coordinator.
yeah, we need to really lay out how.
Oh, that's right.
it's done.
County board
Remember, it was,
Liz Chaplin got hit by a pumpkin.
yeah, somebody threw
That's
it,
right.
She got hit by a pumpkin. Somebody over.
they overchucked
Yeah, they overchucked
Yeah.
and hit her.
and blindsided
Yeah,
her.
Where was it?
she had a cut, so she was
Yeah, they hit her pretty hard. And she wasn't even thinking, you know, she was just talking to somebody and just happened to be in the wrong place.
right.
So we need to set up
So this is the
better,
same
better parameters.
scarecrow, same day.
Well, maybe only allow from, one side or something, or
Right.
two sides, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to item 5F. This is update on mosquito abatement cable TV programming, and hoping that this will be completed this week. Fingers crossed. I did have some. I mentioned that I went backpacking, and about a week after I got home, I got really sick.
Oh, no.
And I don't know for certain yet, but I think I got Lyme's disease.
Ooh.
Because I had a strange bite on the back of my leg.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I thought I had COVID, but it wasn't COVID. It just knocked me out. Yeah, and my face swelled up, my neck swelled up. It was not pleasant.
Ooh.
So anyways. Okay, I'm gonna move on to item 6, public comment on non-agenda items. There's no public present. Item 7, commissioner comments. I'm gonna start with you, Commissioner Moore. Any comments?
The DuPage Rail Safety Council is having their biannual Prevent Tragedy on the Track seminar. It's going to be a Zoom on October 20th from 8 till noon. Save the dates haven't yet gone out on it because they haven't got the Zoom link established yet, but that'll be forthcoming. Chairman Wagner is on their email string, so am I. When we get that information, we'll pass that along to anyone who may be interested in sitting in. That's all I've got.
Okay. Commissioner Greco.
I just wanted to remind people that the Active Transportation Alliance Bike the Drive is September 5th. It's a really fun event where Lakeshore Drive in Chicago is opened up for bicyclists. I know it doesn't sound like a Villa Park issue, but Active Transportation Alliance is very important regionally in supporting bicycling and walking and clean, green infrastructure.
Commissioner Schieber.
I actually had written down the recycling cans, but we've already sort of discussed that. That's what I had on screen.
Could I add one more thing I forgot to mention?
Sure.
Thank you. Rail Safety Week is going to be September 19th through the 25th, so I wanted to put that out there now because generally when they do that, the police come out and hand out, they go to their metro stations and they hand out, brochures and safety literature. We discussed this at the Bike and Pedestrian meeting. We're going to get in contact with our rail officer, Brian Harubi, and if there's any opportunities for volunteers to help pass out literature, we'll pass that along to you guys if you want to come out and help us out.
What's the date?
It's the dates of our September 19th through the 25th, but there hasn't been established a specific date yet
Okay.
when they're gonna do this, like we did in the spring, where we went out there and did a metro safety push. This is in coordination with a national, effort to get that message out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna move on to item 8, chairman comments. And I'm just, got a couple things just wanna cover. I did contact, our interim finance director, Howard, and I asked him what our current balance was. And, he forwarded this to Julie Settles. And I don't think this is accurate, but this is the second time I've asked about it, so I'm done asking about it, because the tree that we acquired for Arbor Day is not on here. So I mentioned that to Julie before. She said she was gonna look into it. So our spending year-to-date, $554.63. So we have available, our budget was $1,600, so available, and of course we're now in a calendar year now, available amount is $1,045.37.
We have till the end of the year.
Exactly, right. And then the other thing I asked about was, I asked about commissioner terms of office. And I'm trying to find my little memo on that, okay? So, she said that right now, Sandy, Ellen, and Justin, your terms are up in April of 2023. My term is up in 2024. And then she said that she was not sure when your term was up, when Margaret's term was up, or Mary Ann's term was up. So they're looking into that.
Well, Joe, you and I will basically be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So,
Justin and I are.
How long is the term?
so they're staggered. They're staggered terms. I can't remember the ordinance, but it's like, there's like a 3-year term, and is there like a 2-year term? I can't remember, because all our terms are not up at the same time.
Right.
But we kind of, it's something that we don't think about. We kind of depend on the village to say, okay, your term is up, would you like to get reappointed? And that's kind of the job of the, I'm gonna say the village president, to monitor whose term is up. You know, so stand by, I'll let you all know as soon as I get more information. Just really quickly, I mentioned my meeting with Manager Harline, and one of the things that we talked about was the Regional Climate Action Plan. And, you know, due to our persistence and the help of certain board members, we got the village board to say, yes, we endorse the Regional Climate Action Plan, and thanks to Trustee Corkery, we want to take concrete action to see how we can implement it. So Manager Harline said, we are going to put this on the agenda for either September or October. Regional Climate Action Plan on the agenda, and he'd like some of us there present, because they're gonna, I think that they reinstated Committee of the Whole, where they have informal discussion before the formal board meeting. This is something we used to have. And then I think President Bolthus wanted to streamline village board meetings, and we said we're gonna do away with Committee of the Whole, but it's coming back. So they will have a Committee of the Whole in September or October about the Regional Climate Action Plan, which I think is fabulous.
I agree.
Fabulous. So, you know, persistence pays off. What's that expression? She persisted. Or I got my daughter a coffee cup with "she persisted" on it. So anyway, so
Is
if you
that
persist,
something that, if we're attending the meeting, we should be prepared to make suggestions? or?
I think that maybe we should schedule this for, I mean, I have a binder, I put together a binder, and I have, like little, there's like different chapters that have concrete, suggestions.
There probably would be, time for public comment.
Public comment as well, exactly, yeah.
So there would be public comment.
I just wondered if they were looking to us for suggestions, or?
I think they would be open to our suggestions.
But technically, you are the only one that's ready to make a presentation. I mean, we could be there and support and answer questions.
I mean, I can resend the link to the thing.
I know, I
Yeah.
printed it out at one point in time, I think it's in my other notebook, but I think it would behoove us to look at, to know what we're talking about.
Exactly, yeah. And so I did, once they passed that resolution, I sent it over to, Edith Macra, and Cheryl Scott from, the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, and we are one of 35 communities that passed that resolution. So maybe we could see what other communities are doing. But I think it's great that they want to bring this back. And something I forgot to mention was that the Dover, Delaware, where he was the assistant city manager, they achieved bronze status for bike friendly community. So he's very familiar with that whole thing. So
Perhaps the regional action climate plan would be a great way to start our public education. And get it out there that they've passed it and they're looking, and if you have suggestions and,
Right.
That kind of thing.
get a bunch of people to come to the board meeting. That's a great idea.
Have a link to the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, that concludes my report. Board liaison comments. I didn't hear from Trustee Corkery, so I suspect he's working tonight, so I don't know. Village staff comments. There are no village staff present. Adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Joe?
I'll second.
Seconded by Sandy. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.